Historic downtown Fernandina Beach doesn't announce itself. There's no grand reveal, no dramatic moment where you suddenly understand where you are. You arrive gradually, often without realizing you've crossed into something different at all. And then, almost without effort, the town begins to work on you. That quiet effectiveness isn't accidental. It's the result of scale, restraint, and a downtown that was never rebuilt to chase attention. This is the Gallivanter Podcast. I'm Chad, and this is episode 4 of our series on Amelia Island and Fernandina Beach. Florida is full of historic downtowns that didn't make it. Some were carved up by highways. Some were flattened for redevelopment. Others were preserved so aggressively they became stage sets. Fernandina avoided all three. Part of that is timing. Downtown Fernandina reached maturity before the automobile dictated design. Streets were laid out for walking, proximity, and daily use. Part of it is scale. The town never grew large enough to justify tearing itself apart and rebuilding bigger. There was never a moment when replacing the downtown wholesale made financial sense. And part of it is everything we've already covered in this series. Railroads passed it by. Old Town stepped aside. Fort Clinch froze the island's northern edge. Downtown Fernandina didn't survive because it was precious. It survived because it remained useful. Center Street is often described as the destination. That framing misses what it actually is. Center Street functions as a spine. It runs east to west, connecting the harbor to the rest of the island and anchoring civic life along the way. It wasn't designed to trap visitors. It was designed to move people efficiently through town. That's why it still works. Blocks are short enough to invite walking. Storefronts are narrow enough to remain human in scale. The street slopes gently toward the water, giving orientation without spectacle. If you stay only on Center Street, you see the surface. The town reveals itself when you step one block north or south and let the noise thin out. Downtown Fernandina holds together because its businesses are built for return visits, not turnover. On Center Street, the book loft remains one of the clearest expressions of that philosophy. You wander, browse, and lose track of minutes. Inventory changes, but the purpose doesn't. It rewards patience in a downtown that still values it. Nearby, Trailer Park Collectibles asks for the same attention. It's a dense, multi-vendor space packed with vintage goods, furniture, records, and unexpected finds. Nothing is staged for speed. You move slowly because the shop is layered rather than simplified. That sense of accumulation continues at Eight Flags Antique Market. With dozens of dealers under one roof, it reads less like a themed antique concept and more like decades of material history compressed into a single space. It's uneven, crowded, and unapologetic about it, which fits in a town that never flattened itself to make browsing easier. For men's clothing and goods, J.J. Cooper stands apart. The shop focuses on high-quality apparel and accessories chosen for longevity rather than trend cycles. The space itself is beautifully curated, restrained, and deliberate. It feels permanent, which matters on a street where churn is the exception. Hudson and Perry, Abby's favorite, plays a similar role for home goods and gifts. The selection leans Southern and vintage-inspired. It's thoughtful without being precious, another example of a business that expects repeat visits. Food downtown works best when it stays integrated into the day instead of turning into a performance. Mornings often start at Vintage Donuts, which specializes in made-to-order cake donuts with customizable toppings. It functions as a neighborhood stop. People come in early, they get what they need, and move on. Lunch frequently means 4th Street Deli and Salads, a long-running sandwich shop just off Center Street. It's efficient, familiar, and relied upon by people who work downtown as much as those visiting it. Later in the day, First Love Brew Pub becomes part of the evening rhythm. It's social without being loud, sized appropriately for a town that doesn't escalate after dark. And woven into the mix is Fernandina Fantastic Fudge, a long-standing confection shop selling fudge, chocolates, and ice cream. It does exactly what it says, without reinvention. What all these places share is restraint. They assume you're on foot. They assume you're unhurried. They assumed you'll be back. How you experience downtown depends heavily on where you stay. Every time we return, we stay at Amelia Schoolhouse Inn. Not out of routine, but because it fits the town. The building began as a school, and that history shows in the proportions and layout. It was adapted, not replaced. From there, downtown opens naturally. You park once and stop thinking about logistics. Rooms and suites are modest, appointed with modern takes on furnishings from a simpler time. Elements such as vintage maps, globes, and built-in desks and rooms add a sweet, retro schoolhouse vibe. They even send you home with a set of classic No. 2 pencils. With its principal's office bar in the lobby and a putting green in the relaxed courtyard, this boutique hotel caters only to adults, ensuring a peaceful getaway. That assumption of easy access is about to change. Beginning in 2026, the city of Fernandina Beach plans to implement paid parking in municipal lots 7 days a week. The program sets an hourly rate during enforcement periods, includes a short free window for quick stops, and introduces a permit system. City residents will be eligible for free annual permits. Non-city residents will be required to purchase permits. The policy does not include a separate exemption for downtown workers who live outside city limits, meaning many employees will need to pay to park near their jobs. It's a significant shift for a downtown that has long treated access as part of its character. Business owners have raised concerns about how daily patterns may change when even routine workdays and errands carry a cost. How behavior adjusts remains an open question. Downtown Fernandina has always worked because it encouraged staying rather than cycling through. There's only so much parking, only so many storefronts, only so much room before the town tightens instead of expanding. That containment has kept it intact. The changes that are taking effect now will test that balance, but the underlying structure remains the same. Across these 4 episodes, Amelia Island hasn't been presented as a checklist. It's been presented as a series of decisions. A railroad that bypassed, a town that relocated, a fort that froze expansion, a downtown that never outgrew itself. Understanding those decisions changes how you experience the island. You stop rushing. You stop trying to cover ground. You let the place just show you what it still knows how to do. I'm ChadGallivanter. Hope you've enjoyed the series. Wherever you go, take the story with you.